the I, the ego here, the knower. This comes and goes. This also comes and goes. This also comes and goes. But what illumines their coming and going, the station master, that is what is meant by thorium here, pure consciousness.
That was a lot of processing.
Oh, that was nice. A few weeks ago, we watched Swami talking about Who Am I? And it blew our minds. And then everyone goes, hold up, guys, there's a Q&A session at the end.
We were really tired at the end of reacting to the first one because, I mean, if you watched it, you understand.
It's a ride.
And so we were like, we can't handle more. Our brains will melt.
But today, we're back for seconds.
Wow. Something about this reaction session is like really cringy, and I love it. I love it. It's really good. We're both. It's not just one of us too. It's both of us.
Yeah. All right.
We got Swami. We got Vivekananda in the background. Let's ride.
We consider something is good.
Yeah.
Why so? Why are the others bad?
Yeah. See, there is certain predisposition within us. Light better than darkness, if you say. We always experience ourselves as conscious beings. Isn't it so? Very word experience. Experience itself includes, it's almost tautological. It's almost circular to say that we experience ourselves as consciousness, because experience includes the fact that there must be consciousness. Otherwise, how will you experience? So, our very nature is to be conscious. You have never been unconscious. You have never had an experience of unconsciousness. When you come out of, suppose you were unconscious, you come out of it, then you think back and you say, at that time I was unconscious. But in unconsciousness, you don't experience anything. Blankness. So you always experience your own self as consciousness, as a conscious being. Now just extend it. Light is very much like consciousness. Physical light, of course, is a good example for consciousness. Why? It illumines. And we are, just the opposite is darkness, which is an absence of light. So in that sense, we like light because it's very much according to our nature. Another thing is, we always search for happiness. We always search for happiness. We try to avoid unhappiness. Therefore, certain things which make us happy, we say they are good. With certain things which make us unhappy, we say they are bad. Although the things in themselves may be quite neutral. They may not be good or bad as such. But the effect they are having on us is happiness and unhappiness. Now, the whole idea here is, the self which I have discovered here is beyond this happiness and unhappiness. The happiness and unhappiness are all within this waking world and the dream world. Okay. Question?
Dude. I don't know if I've said this on the channel before, but Sadhguru, what was that?
Fresh air.
Fresh air. Okay.
Just what he said.
All right. Sadhguru says in Inner Engineering, in the last session, that the problem that a lot of us face is that we take some things to be sacred and some things to be not sacred. Basically saying, like, our biggest hindrance is this whole likes and dislikes, which, like, are generating karma. And he says what yogis do is they take one of two paths. They either take the path of everything is beautiful, everything is sacred, or everything is just nonsense. Or I imagine both, because it seems like, for me, it's like, I feel like I hold both of those in my best times. I hold both of those at the same time. Is like, oh my gosh, look at all this stuff. And at the same time, it's like,
look at all this stuff.
Look at all this stuff. Yeah, no, precisely. And I've just been noticing how personally my inner judgments of things just break apart any sense of stillness that I have. Literally any likes or dislikes breaks the stillness that I have. It's like when I am truly sitting in stillness in like emptiness, it's like everything is just lovely. It's like lovely not in the sense that I am in support. It's more like, here it is. It's like there's no way to describe. There's no way to describe it, but it's just lovely. It's like, oh, lovely. This happens, lovely. This happens, lovely. Fine, like whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. It is crazy. You said something the other day. I had this vision earlier today, where he said this thing yesterday of like, sometimes when he snaps kind of back into consciousness throughout a day, like it comes out of like a big thought train, comes back to consciousness. It almost feels like going lucid in a dream and being like, whoa, this is a dream right now.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, that whole thought string didn't matter at all.
Yeah.
And I had the thought today.
Whoa, this is a dream right now.
Like, what if I was in a situation where something was happening that usually ends up being like a lucid dream trigger for me?
Yeah.
Like maybe a horrible accident or like something really scary is happening, like a scary figure chasing me, whatever. Those are often times that I'll like be like, oh, this might be a dream right now.
Yeah.
But I had this thought today of what if like one of those things could be happening. I could like go to do a lucid check or whatever, like press my finger through my hand. That's a big one I'll do. And it just like isn't a lucid thing. And then I can just still be like, just a dream.
Nice. Like if you were able to like get to the point where you snap and you don't even have to check because it doesn't matter.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if you're dreaming or not. You're just like, Turia.
Oh my god. That's so good. I had a dream the other night that my dad and I were meeting with this really rich guy. And thanks. And all I can remember is like he had really nice cars, and then all of a sudden we were like in his living room and like we're about to leave and he's like, oh wait, just shake my hand. And I go to shake his hand and he does that thing, that really sly thing where like the sleeves pulled up and he has a gun. And it's just like really really sneaky, and he's like has the hand out extended, and I like look at it, and I'm like, I panic, and I turn and run, and I just get shot a bunch of times. And then as I got shot, I realized like it was like life felt very fragile. Like the holes in my body felt huge from the shots. Like it felt like these massive things that I was like all of a sudden realizing were not able to be healed. Like just the wounds felt like
it was game over.
Game over. Like you can't turn back. And all of a sudden, it's as if like I went lucid, which that was like the second time ever in my life. I went lucid for the first time like 3 weeks ago or something, and that was just like 10 seconds. And then this time it was like I went lucid, and instantly I was like, I want to wake up. And I just like I realized like, oh my gosh, I might be dreaming. And then it was just like bang, I woke up and I was like, why didn't I stay in that? What was I thinking? Like that could have been like you die and you figure out what happens in the dream. But I was like, lucid, I want to wake up. This is too much for me. Mitch, come on.
I don't know, but that could be what the moment of death is like. You like get really panicked, and then it's like if you could just remain, who knows what's coming.
Yeah.
You're just in it.
Ram Dass says that he talks to this person who's like a dead spirit that talks through another being. That's like like I don't know what you would call that, but basically he talks to a dead person. And he says that he asked this person, hey, what's death like? The person was like, I've got one thing to say about death. And just know and tell everyone that it's absolutely safe. Just think about that. Like the word, it's just like, the more you think about it, the more it just cuts home. Like it's safe. Because that's the biggest thing, is that we're so afraid of it and thinking that it's like somehow unsafe, that we'll like go somewhere or we'll go nowhere. Or like if anything happens, it's like we're scared of it during the death moment. And it's like, no, it's just safe.
It's all right.
It's absolutely safe.
It's safe. That's awesome. I like that.
Snake knows that death is safe. Obviously. I mean, obviously.
Obvious.
Yeah.
All right. Next question.
There's
Next.
a question there.
So they have used in Napumsakalingam.
Yeah.
Suddenly they will change it to Pulingam in last.
Yeah.
Why is that regret?
Actually, it is difficult to say. They will simply pass it off as Ashwa Prayoga. Ashwa Prayoga means, Ashwa means comes from the Rishi. So you don't hold the Rishis to the rules of Sanskrit grammar. So you'll find a lot of times in Upanishads, in Kena Upanishad for example, you will find this usage, Te Vidanchakara. Te Vidanchakara. They knew. But you know Sanskrit grammar, you would say it should be Te Vidanchakruhu. They knew in plural. If Te is there, it should be plural. Vidanchakara is singular. Now the question is raised in Kena Upanishad, how come you are starting with plural and you end up, the verb is in singular? This is a basic Sanskrit problem. But there you cannot touch it because the idea is the Shrutis. You should not use your grammar on the Shrutis, you just leave it as Ashva Prayoga. The translation would be roughly poetic license. Poetic license, just like you would not hold a poet to the rules of grammar. So here also you leave it, you just leave it like that. Yeah.
Were you gonna say something?
Yeah, I was going to say something. That just made me think. He's just speaking to like university students. And that question just made me realize that like there's probably a lot of people in there that are just treating that as like, oh, coming here to listen to another lecture. Whereas the lecture,
And like, I need to learn this information.
yeah, I need to learn this information in case I get tested on it or something like that. Like
Life's a test and then you die.
that's like kind of what the last question just like made me think of. And it's just like, wow, makes me think of like if I would have missed the point. If someone like at certain points in my school.
I mean, think about when we took Eastern philosophy, dude.
Oh my gosh.
We both took a
Yeah.
class of Eastern philosophy where you were just like reading Buddhism, some. I don't know if we did anything from Hinduism.
No, I don't
But-
think we did. It was just like Buddhism, some Zen, like Zen Buddhist stuff, Confucianism.
It was funny because I had that class that I didn't take as like spiritual teachings every time I was reading things. And then 2 or 3 semesters later, once I'd gone deeper into this stuff,
Yeah.
I had a mysticism class, like a seminar, and everything I was reading, we would read like Christian mysticism or whatever XYZ mysticism, and I was getting hyped up the way that we get hyped up during these reactions.
Yeah.
And then I was in this class of all the people who weren't taking it like that, and we're taking it
Yeah.
like, what could be true and false in this?
Oh my
And
gosh.
so many times throughout that class, near like the end of a debate, after I was just like quiet the whole time because no one was talking about what I like. No one was talking about this sort of stuff. Like,
Yeah,
how does
yeah.
this matter for your daily life?
Right.
I would just be like, hey, none of this stuff matters unless like you're applying it, and don't like take it as truth unless you're applying it.
Yeah.
And I would repetitively say that, and each time like 1 or 2 people would like kind of nod along, be like, okay, yeah, that sounds kind of cool.
Yeah.
But then just like the next debate, it'd be the same thing every time. And I'm
Oh
like,
man.
I mean, they're on their own timeline, and so am I. So
Oh
like,
yeah,
I'm
yeah. It just makes me think of how fun it would be if like at this point you and I took a mysticism class together and like just sat on opposite sides of the room and just like went to town.
Pretend we didn't know
went
each other.
to town in class.
Just come in like wearing Matrix stuff.
Be like, yeah, this reminds me a lot of what Ramana Maharshi says about him. And they're like, who the fuck is that guy? What did you say we were gonna wear?
Just like we just both need to take on like very specific personas so that people wouldn't know that we're friends or
Or a
whatever.
duo, yeah.
So I would just walk in wearing like full Matrix attire, like the black leather jacket and the black little glasses, and just like sit in the corner of the room and wait to say something. When I'm referring to anyone, just call them Neo. Be like, oh yeah, what Neo said. No, that Neo.
Blonde Neo.
Blonde Neo.
Oh my gosh.
People just come in one day and the whiteboards just have like the Matrix numbers written all like down all of it. And I'm just sitting there.
We just like recreate this.
Yeah.
What is Turia? Oh yeah, we got to go back to college. I think that's what. It was a useful time.
I am trying to. It'd be so fun to go to places of education, especially like high school,
Yeah.
and just give kids a taste of this, but in this style.
Yeah.
Of just being like, it's funny, but also you could completely change your perception and your whole life would change.
Give them the Ram Dass special.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, okay. Let's keep going. Next.
Yeah.
We ask.
Any of the sambandha with any of the other things.
True,
So
true.
the knowing sambandha also who could
Absolutely. This is a good question, and I will deal with it tomorrow in one of the karikas. I'll just give you one line answer. Gaudapada Acharya will take up this question, I think in the 17th or 18th karika, which will come in the second handout, which you will get tomorrow. And the answer he gives is, just now, quite apart from all this, we find ourselves ignorant. We do not know this. We are just reading about it. We don't feel that. But our reality now is that we feel, I am this one, and this I don't know. I don't know myself as this. This ignorance I have. About what? About the thorium. I have an ignorance about the thorium, and because of this ignorance, I imagine that I am the waker. Now in this state, I am the one who has to realize myself as thorium. When I realize myself as thorium, I will realize that there was no waker or waking state separate from me. Gaudapada Acharya's answer, one sentence answer to that is, for the purpose of instruction, the relation between knower and known, in fact this is the exact word he used, upadeshat, for the purpose of teaching, the relationship is set up between guru, shishya, shastra, and all of that is sublated, badhita, when you realize yourself as the thorium. It's not that they will disappear. Moment you realize I am thorium, suddenly Sarvapriyananda will disappear, the classroom will disappear, everything will go into a haze of white light. No. They will still be there. Just like when you realize the blue sky, the blueness in the sky. Actually the sky is not blue. You know the physics behind it. So it just looks blue. Now once you understand the physics behind it, you know fully well the sky is not blue. After that, when you look up at the sky, what do you see? Blue sky. Similarly, here you will realize what is the thorium. This world will keep on appearing. Your friends need not be scared, that if you realize the thorium, we will all disappear. You will realize the background, just like once you realize this is gold, it doesn't mean the bangle will disappear, or the necklace or the ring will disappear. You just know the reality behind it. That will come in the 17th or 18th karika. Exactly this question is answered.
Baz.
That was hot.
Baz.
Yeah.
Baz.
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 Also makes me think about how it feels like there have been a lot of times where I'm like, I cognitively know this, but I don't know it. And then at some point, it just like moves over. You know how like you'll like hear something a few times and you're like, okay, I know that, say, I am not my thoughts. And then all of a sudden, like one day, it'll just hit you like, bang. Oh, right. I'm not my thoughts. I actually get it. It's like, it's not just a cognitive knowing. It's like a very similar thing with Turiya. It's like, I know I'm not this. I know I'm not
These awakened things.
these things. Like I could go down the list of all the things I know I'm not. That's what I was doing yesterday at work, is I was just like listing through all the things I know I'm not.
You're kind of
like-
weird.
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of weird.
Just picking vegetables. I am not the body. I am not this bean. I'm not this bean.
Just really focused. Okay. And yeah, it's like I just was realizing over and over and over that I could only think it. I didn't know it.
Yeah. It's like, I think the best thing that I've heard is the living reality. when this becomes your living reality. It's a living reality at that point. And one other thing is accepting your current living reality.
Yes.
Because I think at the beginning of this type of journey, I would go like learn this type of thing and then go spew it to people and be like, oh, well, like I'm not my body, I'm not my mind.
Yeah,
and it's like,
yeah.
that's not actually living reality for me.
Right.
And when you don't accept where you're at, you're going to hinder your progress because you're not going to be working on the things that you need right now. You're going to be pretending you're there, understanding things, functioning in a way, but you don't even know what it's actually like to function at that place.
Yes, so there's like no real foundation.
Yeah, so it's like, say it's not a living reality for you yet. Say this is your living reality. Or I guess maybe don't deny a living reality, but just say like, this is my living reality. That's okay.
Yeah.
And onward.
And onward.
But then who is observing that process?
Can you hear this guy? I can't hear him.
The answer would be, there is nothing behind the consciousness, because according to Advaita Vedanta, consciousness is Swaprakasha. It's like light, a tube light, which illumines this hall. The hall is in darkness. When you switch on the tube light, the hall is illumined. Now, do you need one more tube light to illumine that tube light? You don't. The tube light illumines itself and the hall. In the same way, consciousness is self-illumined, and it illumines whatever comes in front of it. So you don't have to posit one more consciousness, because then it leads to what is called anavastha, regresses as ad infinitum, and it goes with our experience also. When I am conscious, I don't require one more consciousness to illumine the consciousness. But remember, this consciousness is apart from the thoughts. One thought can be about another thought. A thought can be about the world, and a thought can be about other thoughts also. So thoughts can be about other thoughts. That's what's called introspection. But this consciousness is not introspection. I'll tell you one interesting question came. You've heard of Susan Blackmore, those who do research in consciousness studies and AI and all. She is a well-known researcher. So she says this idea of self-consciousness, I, it's nothing permanent. Some spiritual people say I-ness, the permanent I is there. No. She says it's just like, the example she gives is a refrigerator. When you open the door, there's a light. So whenever you open the door, there's a light. But when you close the door, is the light there? Actually, because you know how the refrigerator is designed, so there's no light there, you know that. But we can never see it, unless you are a mechanic when you open everything up. But whenever you open the door, there is a light. And these people, Susan Blackmore says that these people, they make a mistake. When they look in their minds, they see an I-ness. But the I-ness disappears. Suppose we are talking about flow yesterday. When you are in flow, in fact, the I feeling disappears. So there is no permanent I, that's what she is saying. But she is making a fundamental mistake here. Advaita Vedanta would say, what she is taking, the refrigerator light, that is not consciousness. That is the ahankara of the waker, the I, the ego here, the knower. This comes and goes. This also comes and goes. This also comes and goes. But what illumines their coming and going, the station master, that is what is meant by thorium here, pure consciousness.
That was a lot of processing to just take in, because it just like, that was like what I was doing yesterday. It was like going from like this really unconscious state of like just working and thinking about meaningless things, or have some song stuck in my head or whatever, or I'm talking to someone and it's coming so unconsciously, and then all of a sudden it's like I snap to lucidity. And I think that's what she's talking about, this woman's talking about, is like, every time you open the door, it seems like there's an I, but it's like the whole time in between, it didn't really seem like that. It was like when I was in flow, it's like there wasn't, or when you're playing sports, it's like there wasn't this like lucid feeling. It's like you're just in flow, and it doesn't, like, you don't have this I thought at all times. But then when I go lucid, it's like I have this I thought. It's like, oh, whoa, here I am. And that, like he's saying, like comes and goes. And
what if that's not even the thing?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. That's a tummy shaker.
That's a tummy shaker. Yeah, because how could it be the thing if it is able to come and go? At least from what I've, like, that's not all coming from my experience. That's also like pulling from every enlightenment teaching that I've gotten. Is like, it seems like it's like the biggest thing is like you find something that just doesn't come and go. It's like it's just, oh, it's there. And it's like you couldn't forget it at any point. But there's this I feeling, this lucid feeling that you can snap to, but then you just keep forgetting over and over and over and over and over.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of thoughts that come up talking about this type of thing.
Oh yeah.
Like one of the things I've been thinking about is kind of like empty space, or like that an atom is 99% space or whatever.
Yeah.
And then bringing that discussion into this, like space is the only thing that makes physical reality possible, or like that makes like atoms possible, gives all this structure, is the space inside of everything.
Yeah.
And then it's like, what if these, all of this idea of I and all these things are just somehow on top of like the nothingness that actually gives it space? And then it's like, is that what you tap into? And what the frick is that?
I just tuned out for like 30 seconds.
Good. Did you guys as well? Oh, you're gonna make my ego feel bad.
See, in till today, in Western thought, mostly in Western psychology, even in neuroscience, they don't make a distinction between mind and consciousness. They don't make a distinction between mind and consciousness. Thoughts and consciousness are supposed to be the same. In Western poetry, philosophy, you'll see soul means the mind. Personality, mind, soul, they're taken as one entity. But in Indian thought, not only Advaita, consciousness or the Atman is separate from the mind, and that is separate from the body. A trichotomous view of the human personality. Body, mind and Atman. So consciousness is apart from the mind, where this I may come and go like a refrigerator light. This may come and go, she's right there. But what Advaita speaks about is not that I. Speaking about the light which shines on that I. When the I is present, when the I is absent also. One more question, then we wrap up.
Oh my gosh.
Next.
I think today is going with a little heavy. I sort of expected it to be heavy. Okay, I'll take up your question. Yeah, go ahead.
If I know that at the moment that I am not a waker, I am not a dreamer, I am not a sleeper, so I should be indifferent to all the emotions like happiness, sorrows or everything.
Yes.
I should just see emotions going in front of me.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So why should I feel sympathy to a poor, or why should I have a sympathy towards someone who needs my help? I should be indifferent to it.
True.
Why shouldn't I kill him?
Yeah, true. First of all,
Good question.
you wouldn't kill him also because you would be indifferent to your own emotions also, right? So now there's an interesting question, but the answer is also pretty straightforward. Now you see, there are two ways of looking at this. One is the thorium is apart from the waker and the waking world, right? First of all, why are we identified with all this? The reason given in Advaita is because we are ignorant of the thorium. We are not aware of it at all. We are not aware of it at all. We don't understand it. We may read about it, but we don't feel it. When we are ignorant of something, error comes. This is the fundamental thing. From ajnana, or let's use English, from ignorance comes error. Comes error. If I don't know that there is a rope, in the darkness, the rope is there, a semi-darkness, so what do I see? A snake. So I'm ignorant of the rope and I make the error, I think it's a snake. Right? I'm ignorant of myself as the untouched, unchanging, pure consciousness, and what I see in myself in front of me, the world, this body and mind. And I immediately identify myself with this mind. Mind is full of thoughts, happiness, sadness, desires, everything. And I go on like this. I become the waker. I become the waker. Now, This is one way of looking at it. So the thorium is apart from the waker. To answer your question, thorium is apart from the waker. If you're really apart from it, you ought to be indifferent to it. Or another way of looking at it is the thorium itself which appears as the waker in the waking world. Just like in your dream, you appear as the dreamer and the dreaming world. The one who is sleeping and dreaming. In his mind he creates a dream, and he is also himself in that dream. In fact, the entire dream, the people in the dream, the animals and the non-living things, and he himself in the dream, all of them are not apart from his mind. He's actually become everything in that dream. And this states that this thorium itself is appearing as all this. In other words, the thorium is one with all. Now, some sadhaka or some spiritual giant may stress the oneness aspect of it. You'll find in Vivekananda again and again and again, he says, you are one, we are one with the universe. It's not a rhetorical thing. You should feel one with the universe, which is good, but he states this as a fact, as an assertion. Actually, you are one with the universe. If you limit yourself to this body and mind, you're separate from all bodies and minds. But if you see what is behind that, like gold, then you are one with everything made of gold. Gold is one with everything made of gold. You will see yourself as pure consciousness. In yourself, all these things are taking place. Then you have a sense of oneness with all beings. If you stress that oneness, then the unhappiness of a person, the misery of another person actually will bring a response in you. Just as right now my misery brings a response in me, when I have sarvatma bhava, the oneness with everybody, it automatically does. And you see it in the lives of great sadhakas and great spiritual giants. They respond to the sufferings of others. But you're right, there may be a kind of spiritual giant who does not respond, who may not be cruel, but may simply be indifferent to the world which he will see as a dream. So there have been such people, and they have also been very great spiritual people also. And you can see it in them, a kind of deep peace and joy is there within them. If somebody comes in front who is suffering, they will help. And that has been explained in different ways. A simple explanation would be, these people have gone through a long period of spiritual practice. And so the mind of that person is suffused with thoughts of good thoughts, helpful thoughts. After realization, when he sees himself apart from all, what would he do? He would let the body and mind go on doing what he was doing, like an inertia of motion. So the inertia of motion of a sage would be to help others. He is apart from the helping also. He sees himself as illumining both the helper and the helped. This here, we are really going to the peak of the Everest here. The final word the Upanishads have to say about this. And I've packed so much into one class. I was seeing the explanation given by a very senior Swami. I've given you just 4 or 5 points here, the whole 1 hour session. That Swami, he explains this verse in 127 points, out of which I've given you less than 10% today. So if there seem to be gaps, it's very natural. If you think it's all perfectly clear, then either you are a realized soul or you haven't been following what's going on. There should be some gaps actually. There should be some areas of confusion or where you can feel a little uneasy about what's going on here. Should we wrap it up? Tomorrow, I'm going into the extensions of this mantra. What? The implications. And Gaudapada Acharya's Karikas will take up 7 or 8 Karikas, which is in the second handout, which will come tomorrow. Thank you very much.
What's the rest of this video?
What is the rest of this video? Okay, wait, quickly, can we just talk about what he was saying?
No.
Please. Really want to talk about what he was saying.
Oh, it's just blackness at the end. Oh, they're trying to say something. What is it, man?
It's just... Here's my thought. What's the point of asking... No judgment on this question asker. But what's the point of asking a question of that nature if that question would be absolutely irrelevant if you were realized?
Because you're not realized?
I guess it just seems like the question was in terms of
Which question?
the last question. was in terms of like what I guess it like was in terms of like what should I do now about the suffering of others. But it just seemed like, I don't know. It just feels like every time I have a question like that, like trying to conceptualize, like, oh my gosh, if I was fully detached, like why would I care about anyone? Those always just seem like endless loops for me.
Just a mischievous mind.
Just a mischievous mind, because it's like just hypothesizing about something that it doesn't know. And it's like that, in a lot of ways, I've found creates a barrier that wasn't even there before. It's like if I didn't have any conceptualization about realization, it's like in some ways there's just like less barriers there, because the conceptualization about it is not it, and it never will be it. So it's like if that is leading me anywhere, it's leading me away.
Like you've already made an illusion. You like built another illusion inside of all this illusion.
Right. And it's like if I was like, oh, this is what I think realization is, it's not it. You know, the thought of what it is not it. And then if I were to make a goal out of that, then where I start walking towards this goal is away from the thing that I'm looking for. So that's like really, really tough for me, is trying to not build a conceptualization of what the thing is. Because it always instinctively becomes, oh, well, how can I get there? And then I get there, and I'm like, oh, wait. You realize that was just an image in your mind of what you thought it was, and it's like, oh, well, clearly this isn't it. This is just what I thought it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's where like the acceptance of where you're at thing has been so big for me recently, because it's like the best way to reduce illusions is by accepting exactly where you are and not trying to play any other part.
Yeah. Or like wonder like, oh, I wonder what would happen if I was...
Yeah.
You know.
Because you don't know.
You don't... Yeah.
And that's the fun of it too.
Exactly.
Like if you knew, then boo-hoo.
That's a mystery. The snake has a headache now from all that spinning.
The snake doesn't have a mind, so it doesn't matter.
Shoot. You're right.
Yeah.
It's also not attached to it. I wonder what the snake's
it's
life is like.
Its head starts hurting. Yeah. Oh, I guess we're making a bunch of illusions right now.
Jeez.
I wonder what the snake's head is like. Stupid.
Silly boys.
Silly boys. Every time.
Every time. Yeah.
Yeah, I also forgot that this was part 1.
It's part 1?
This is part 1.
I didn't know it was part 1.
The lecture that he's talking about tomorrow is on YouTube.
Oh, shoot. That's tough. Do you want it?
Do you want it?
Because it might take us a bit of time to get to it because of our heads and how small they are. Jesus. But we'll get to it if you want it.
Yeah. We might get to it if we want it. I have too much energy right now.
Yeah, you do. I think
This is my physical karma not being worked out.
True. Go for a run, kiddo. Keep those sweats on.
Alright, everyone.
Oh, man. Did this video make you realize Turiya?
If it did, let us know.
Yeah, if it didn't, money back for sure.
Yeah.
We'll give it to you. Yeah. Much love.